On today's episode of Locked on Avalanche, on the eve of the 28th anniversary of Bloody Wednesday, the Avalanche and Red Wings lock horns and recreate that epic rivalry. No, they really didn't. The Avalanche just cruised to a 5-2 win, but we can talk about that too. New episode of Locked on Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked on Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked on Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We'll check in with the subtext crew in a little bit as they give us their thoughts on this 5-2 win for the Avalanche over the Detroit Red Wings. We will discuss the Bloody Wednesday. Yes, on Wednesday, 28th anniversary of the epic rivalry and the game that defined that rivalry. So we'll just kind of revisit that quickly. And it's almost like the league knew what it was doing for once in scheduling and putting this game right around that.
No. They had no idea.
Don't give them any credit for it at all.
Zero credit.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to really kind of tout that because we loved it, but we'll discuss that in a little bit. But the Avalanche did take care of business on home ice yet again, and I thought this was a fine game. I think the Avalanche just went out there, took care of business, did what they had to do, and cruise really to a nice, comfy 5-2 win.
Yeah, I like how you say it's like a fine win. Like, when's the last time we had Nuke on Hattie watch, Nathan MacKinnon score a goal, and get ready for this one? A perfect power play.
Yeah,
2 for 2. But like this is what you want to see. We were talking about what do you want to see in this quote unquote garbage time before the start of the the playoffs. This is kind of what you want to see. Like everything was rolling. This one, even though you started off the game behind, it never felt in doubt. Like you did what you had to do, and they even brought it up on the broadcast. This was a desperate team. The Red Wings, they had a really good look at the playoffs maybe about a week or two ago, and that has it's vanished for the Red Wings at this point. And like this was one of the last hopes that the Red Wings had, and it just made my heart so happy for the Avalanche to kind of put that team to bed and say better luck next year.
Yeah, I think the lines right now for the Avs, they've gotten switched up a little bit by Bednar a few games ago. He's stuck with those for a couple games now, and they seem to be kind of figuring things out. Like I said, a couple shows ago, how I'm like, I don't know if I would do this. I understand why he's doing it. But I'm just curious to see and interested to see where this all goes from here. And if these are the lines that he wants to keep, or does he go back to the MacKinnon, Lehkonen, and Nashis first line, or does he just keep Lehkonen and Nashis with Nelson? And he's like, I just feel like he has just all this at his disposal now. This is why he's doing it. And, so when the playoffs come around, it's not like, well, this is that's kind of where my head was just, hey, because these guys are so new, just keep them together just so they can get as much time together. And this is why Jared Bednar should win the Jack Adams year after year, because he does stuff like this and they don't miss a beat really. In the grand scheme of it, they don't. Sure, there's going to be a little bit of getting to know you period, but I feel like, the top line that he, putting Drouin and MacKinnon are always going to have that camaraderie. And, they're obviously very comfortable with Nichushkin on that top line too. So that line, the MacKinnon line tonight, like everybody else was just doing their job and doing what they needed to do and had no problems. The top line seemed like it was having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the top line, it was almost like the Harlem Globetrotters against like the Washington Generals out there, because you saw MacKinnon kind of just doing his thing when he's just cutting back and just making guys look foolish. And then when they're paired out there, which was most of the time, with your top defensive pairing and Kale McCarr breaking ankles again, those guys, it was almost like those guys are going to go out and have all the fun, and everybody else just has to, not do anything outside of their job description, and we will be fine. And it was like a complete game, because there were some mistakes, but I mean, that's a game of hockey. There's going to be mistakes, but overall, you're right. Like, even though they got down, as soon as they got that goal to tie it, which was relatively quickly, and then they got the lead, you're like, okay, it's not going to be one of those games where they got down and now they're getting goalied. They were able to get 2 goals and away they go.
Yeah, and actually it was 44 seconds between Timothy Comfer striking first, and then Nuke getting things going. And
well, it wasn't Nuke. They switched that. They switched it to the McCarr one. So Nuke could have had 2, but he only had the 1 goal.
And you also have, when we're talking about the lines, you've seen this already on the defense a little bit. They're mixing things up and playing around to see not so much what really works well together, but what that looks like as a tandem. And you're starting to see that, because again, this will tickle your ears, my friend. You still have to anticipate the potential return of Gabriel Landeskog. So you're also not only working and seeing like what combos work. Everybody pretty much works well together on this team. It doesn't really matter. It's mix and match. It's going to work. But what kind of attitudes and flavors and how you're going to match up? Because when you go up against the Dallas Stars, they're going to punch, and you're going to figure out how to adjust mid-game for what combinations really work for what you're being presented. And you're allowing a little space for Landeskog to fit in without ruining everything. When you get everybody so confident and comfortable with that top line, once things mix up, it would work. Back in the day when Bednar would break up Mikko, Landy, and Nate and split them that way, things would start working that way, and then it just stopped becoming effective. You'd go back to that top line and roll with it this way. When you're breaking up and you're playing around with the lines, you're really seeing what kind of attitude and where your strengths are and how you can counterpunch with providing that spot for Landy. So I like what Bednar's doing, and honestly, nothing's gone wrong. Everything's been working with what they're toying with. And when you have Nathan MacKinnon like playing comfortable and playing confident, and it doesn't matter who's out there, that's what you want to see, is the team say, I don't care who's out here, just put somebody out here. I know what they're going to bring, and see the team adapt to that. That shows a lot of confidence in where this team is. And I really like the construction of this team.
Absolutely. We've said many times, how we're kind of maybe spoiled in a way with the goalie situation right now, and how we've kind of forgotten how the season started with the goalie problems, and how we're kind of over that. And you're getting that vibe with the depth. And you like said how they're constructed. Like, you're kind of feeling that way. Hey, any line that's out there right now, you don't feel is going to be like a problem, or that the other team is going to like just pick on a specific line. And yeah, even when Landeskog comes back, we did that show, and where he's probably going to be a 4th line guy to start. That's okay. You haven't played in however many years. You need some time to adjust. So, but I don't think, they're not going to put him out there if he's going to get just run over. So he's got to get into the fold and do what the guys that are out there now are doing, and that is just holding their own. And let's see, I had the time on ice here. So you had one guy on the forwards over 20 minutes in this game. One. And it was Valnichuskin at 20 minutes and 39 seconds. And this was not a blowout. You know what I mean? Like, it was 5-2. Obviously, was you get an empty netter. They pulled within 2. So it was not 5-1 for the majority of this game. And you're rolling lines. You're rolling lines, and this is a close game. Exactly what you want. So it's all just lining up really nice for the Avalanche. They come on, man. Nathan McKinnon 18-24. That's a vacation.
And you still get the outcome that you do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned, let me see who's the well, Nichushkin had the one goal. O'Connor had the empty netter. McKinnon had the power play goal. Nashis with 2 assists. McKinnon had an assist. Drouin with 2 assists. Brock Nelson gets on the board again. So he continues to play well. And he only played 14 minutes, 28 seconds in this game.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of consistent with where your lines are at. Lehkonen, 13-38. I feel like I'm reading numbers of an incomplete stat sheet right now for the Avs. On the defensive end, 22-52 for Cale Makar. And I'm liking this, man. I'm liking this dynamic. I love watching those guys play, and I love when they play 30 minutes a night for Cale Makar because he's fun to watch. But you also don't want to put too much miles on that guy.
Yeah, and you're rolling these lines out confidently, and you're arranging the lines where you have like a skill line, a motor line, a body line, and you these are custom tailored lines that you can roll out in confidence. This game never felt like it was in question. Like LOC, he wanted that goal so bad, like he could have skated it in. Like to see that kind of hunger and that freshness, like deep into a game on all 4 lines. Like it's extremely refreshing to see. And again, like you have to think like this team is deep. They got the lines figured out. They're getting creative with their lines. The power play is working, and you're scratching guys like Kiviranta, Jimmy Vesey, and Miles Wood. Like that's the guys you're leaving off this roster. And like you're perfectly rotating. Everybody's fresh. Everybody feels engaged. Nobody's dragging this team down. Nobody, forwards or defense, is making mistakes that's costing you and you have to adapt to. This team is, I think we're just used to it because we're watching all 82 games and the preseason, and we're so used to it, and the All-Star game and the 4 nations. You're so used to watching this team night in, night out. But if this is your first time watching this Avalanche team, this team might look like one of the better teams in the West with how they're constructed and how everything's coming together and how they're playing night in, night out, and they're winning and stringing wins together. And where we had win, loss, they're stringing wins together, and you're just like, okay, what else can we say about a win? This is what we're used to now. This is such a huge difference from how you started the season.
And now the question is what we've been asking. Like you're still chasing Dallas. So the question is, how important is that home ice? Does it matter as much when you're playing as well as the Avalanche are playing? Let's talk about that. We have our subtext people to get to, and of course, our sound check. And I know I got a good one. I don't know what yours is, but we'll get to those a little bit later. Let's hear from Game Time, because there's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. And Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. We'll be in our college gear tomorrow because Kyle and I are facing off our college team. So tune into that one.
Hey, you.
Yeah. I did pick them. So you can get over on Game Time, tickets made easy. Just check the Game Time app, and there's amazing deals and some huge matchups. And you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today, because what time is it, Kyle?
It's game time.
Also brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, buying Avalanche jerseys, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your entire first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code again is LOCKEDONNHL, and you get half off an entire year. Go to monarchmoney.com right now. All right, sir. So yeah, home ice right now. Avs have 10 in a row, which they showed at the end of the game is the best streak in the league this year, which is kind of crazy. So, which I mean, the Avs always play well at home, right? And you are still chasing Dallas. You're running out of games. It's still possible, obviously, but the question is like, does it matter? And yes, I know in general, yes, it does matter. You if you're given the option, you want to go for home ice. I get it. But when you're playing like the Avalanche are playing, you're confident that you can go anywhere, play anybody, and come out on top. So even if you don't have home ice going into the series with Dallas, you're pretty confident you can take one of those first two games and flip that, and now you have your home ice.
Yeah, I mean, if you think like this Avalanche team, I mean, it's a different roster construction, but I mean, they won the Stanley Cup in Tampa. Like you could win on the road. It's possible.
Sure. Yeah, right.
You could do it. But I would sit there and be like, yeah, the Avs will take whatever. But the more I really think about this we talked about it the last time the Avs played Dallas. This series is a little bit more personal than normal playoff series because it would help to have the home advantage because, yes, you are borderline flawless at home. But that's also Matt Duchene and Mikko Rantanen coming into Ball Arena. Sure. And you want that Ball Arena crowd on your side. And I just think that would be it's going to be a wild atmosphere, and you want to get as much of that as you can. And I think that's really going to help push them through the first round. So, yeah, I mean, and honestly, what else can the Avs do right now? But what they're doing to help their chances of possibly catching home ice in the first round. But I mean, if they get it, that would play into their strengths because, hey, Matt Duchene, this is the second time I said it, and third time he's going to appear in my nightmares. He's doing pretty good right now. He's having, and Mikko is not. So that's, it balances out. That's wonderful. Yeah. But you want the crowd booing those guys when they touch the puck, like Seattle does when Cale Makar touches the puck. Like you want that behind you. And if you go to Dallas and they start getting on you, it's a already obnoxious atmosphere. You don't want that playing on you too. Like it's the playoffs. It gets crazy. It just helps to have Ball Arena behind you and get as much of that as you can.
And these guys are professionals. Matt Duchene's been dealing with it for a lot longer than Mikko Rantanen will. And you wonder how much of a role that would play for him in his mind. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it's a small percentage, but it's a percentage for Mikko Rantanen because he probably, if it's the playoffs, he's going to get booed. He's going to get booed, every time he touches the puck like Duchene does. And does that get into his head? Like, man, like they're this is the playoffs and that's why they're on me. I understand that, but there's some psychology there. There is. And like I said, he's a professional, so he probably tunes it out for the majority of it, but it might be a little bit a trip to his ego there. I don't know.
Well, Matt Duchene was also the guy that sent the Colorado Avalanche home last year.
That's what I'm saying. Like for Duchene, it doesn't matter. Duchene's been dealing with this for long enough. He's fine. For Mikko, this is kind of like new territory for him to get booed because he doesn't really get booed, and he's kind of like beloved. But it's different. It's playoffs, bro. Like you're gonna have to accept this. But just to go back to this game really quickly, because you mentioned Matt Duchene, sent the Avalanche home. He always seems to score on the Avalanche. JT Compher scores. Is it just like built? Is it baked into NHL rules where like a former Av has to score against them? Because it seems like it happens all the time.
To all the Timothy Compher fans out there, this goal for Timothy ties him with LOC for goals on the year at 8.
I was going to say, he's not even having a good
No,
season. He's
he's not.
struggling to score. And what's he do? He scores when he comes into Ball Arena. It's crazy. It is crazy. So while having home ice would be great, I mean, you're going to be playing games on your home ice regardless. Clearly, that's the playoffs. Just anticipate Mikko Rantanen and Matt Duchene goals coming maybe for one or all of the games on home. It just seems to happen. I can't explain it. But no, I think for if you're the Avs, you are finishing off this season strong. So you're going out, you're just taking care of what you have to take care of. If it turns out that Dallas falters for a few games and you take advantage of it, you're not going to complain about that. So, but I think the Avs are in a good spot where it's, hey, if we get it, great. If we don't get it, we're still as confident of a team, even if we don't have that extra game at home. Because like you said, man, like go back to 2022. You won the Stanley Cup on the opposition's ice, which I hate because it's the best trophy in sports and you want to celebrate that in front of your home crowd. But, you know, I'm not going to say lose the game on purpose in Tampa. I was never saying that. But it just says like the ultimate goal you did on someone else's ice.
And honestly, trade deadline, if you would ask me this question, I would have had to give you a complete scientific equation what benefits the Avs. I not only feel good if the Avs are home or away, it really doesn't matter to the opponent right now because the Colorado Avalanche are probably one of the best teams in the West, if not the league right now, with how they're winning and putting games together. So I really don't care about location or opponent. I am extremely confident in this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going through, just kind of checking who, just kind of stats and things like that. I don't think anybody played like a glaring poor game in this game. I thought, you know, I like Keaton Middleton out there.
Yeah.
I do. I like the, you know, obviously the muscle that he brings. But he's the guy that just goes out there, does his shift, gets back on the bench, doesn't try to do too much, and knows he just don't screw up. And I think there were some, you know, in the game of hockey, you're going to have turnovers that you didn't intend to have, but you saw even like Marty Nishis had a turnover, but immediately back checked and got the puck back. So you're seeing stuff like that. It's not just like, oh, woe is me, I made a bad play, let me just loaf it back on defense and they get a good shot. No, it's like, okay, the game is fast. It's going to happen. You're going to make a mistake every once in a while, but they atone for them. And I saw that happen. You know, the few times that there was a bad turnover, like I said, it wasn't just, let me just go to the bench with my head down. No, get back and correct the mistake.
Well, the true sign of that was Nathan MacKinnon made a really weak cross-ice pass that got intercepted, taken the other way. And Nathan MacKinnon does his usual, and then skates kind of towards the bench, realizes I'm the guy who has to make this play. Nobody else is back here. Corrects, slows it down enough to where Toews can get the stick in there, knock it away. Like, to see Nathan MacKinnon go and clean it up, that's big. Like, OG Avalanche fans that watch Nathan MacKinnon through a microscope, no, he does not do that too much. So enjoy that.
Yeah. And you mentioned Toews. I thought he played a wonderful game, not just on the stat sheet, which was a good one for him. 3 points on the night. Defensively, he was great, which is not out of the ordinary. But that goal that he scored was on the power play. It was just simple hockey.
Yep.
It was Marty Nishis just kind of skated from the wing, kind of up to the point, and just made a simple pass to Toews, who just fired a one-timer.
A Tyson Bear special.
Yeah, exactly right. And I watched that. I was like, wow, you didn't need to have all this fancy to do on a power play. And no, just one pass, and he had a lane, and he shot it, and then ended up in the net.
Yep.
Just simple hockey, guy, and it was effective. It was totally effective. So overall, thought this was a solid game. Yeah. So we mentioned the anniversary of Bloody Wednesday. So let's talk about that briefly, and then we'll get to some subtext people first before we talk about that, and then our sound check. Of course, we'll do all that next. First, we're going to hear from Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. And whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You can find the right talent, and if you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you faster with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. So visit upwork.com right now or post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com, upwork.com to connect with talent and grow your business today. All right, let's get over to our subtext crew here, see what they had to say. We got Kay, who says it was a great game. Boys are rolling. Few lapses, but generally a really strong effort. They haven't lost at home in 2 months, I think she says. Well, however long 10 games has been, it's probably close to that.
It's been 84 years.
Okay. Love Nate's non-reaction to his power play goal after 2 minutes on the ice. The sound check. This ain't the rivalry it used to be. So, cause we've ended as lovers by Jeff Beck.
I will never love them.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
But I love Jeff Beck.
We'll talk about it in a minute. Yeah. We got Landon here. Says amazing game, great defense, low shots on goal. We didn't let off the gas this time. They scored towards the end, but it happens. And they almost scored right away. Like, they almost had that for 2 games in a row where you gave up, a goal and then another one immediately after.
Yeah, I know.
And thank God that didn't happen, because we'd be having different conversations right now. You cannot have that be your MO going into the playoffs. So
they're adapting. They're learning.
Yep. Christina, Nate straight up scored that power play goal and couldn't care less. It was absolutely effortless to him. The chemistry seems to continue to build within the team, and I love to see it. Longest home game winning streak in the league with that win, and Kale at 82 points on the season. The boys are rolling. So, McKinnon 29. Brock Nelson is cooking. He's settling in. What's
Can
up?
you smell what the Brock is cooking?
Oh, look at you. You just unlocked something right there, sir. Kivy Ront has been playing great. I hope we can extend him this offseason. And Chuskin is playing awesome as always. Curious as to the Avs record when Chuskin on the ice and with him off. The difference has been startling. I don't know what it is now, but it's insane. Like the number, they're like a 500 team without him and like a 750 team with. It's in that general realm, but no, it is noticeable. And he played a really good game in this one, and he wanted this one. You could tell.
It's very noticeable without Mikko Rantanen on this team. Like, Nuke is very, very much a noticeable presence and a motor to this team.
Definitely. And then Brandon says the guys the Avs brought in from the Mikko trade and the trade deadline are showing up. Raise your glass by ye brandished privateers for my sound check. I do not know if I know that one.
Yes, I do know this song.
Is that one where I don't know it by title, but if I heard it, I would know it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then I will have to go. I feel like Brandon's brought that band up before.
Yeah, it's
here.
They're like in the same vein as like my Ailstorm.
Okay.
So
all right. I'll have to go check that out. So overall, fans are happy with this game, as they should be. And yeah, like we said in the opening, the Avs and Red Wings matching up. They should have just made this game tomorrow, because then it's on the anniversary. I say tomorrow, as you're probably listening to this on Wednesday. Should have made it on Wednesday, because that's the anniversary of the greatest rivalry in hockey history and potentially sports history. So, and every year that this comes up, Kyle, like the more that we get removed from it, the more I honestly appreciate it more, because we always say a lot of times in sports now, oh, it'll never be like that. and we'll never have sports will never be like it was back then. And a lot of that is true. I mean, it's almost every sport is just played differently now. But the way that rivalry was between the Avs and Red Wings, like you will never ever see something like that. Like there was genuine hatred between those two teams, and it culminated with that game. I put the thing up on social media. Was it 14 or 18 fighting penalties? 144 total penalty minutes. It was just there was a lot of stuff that happened before it, and it just bubbled over into this game, which happened 28 years ago. And I was 16 years old when that happened, and I couldn't wait for Avalanche Red Wing games because you knew there was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be that. I don't think anybody thought that much was going to happen, but it did, and now there's literally books written about that.
Yeah, and looking back, and you're right. I don't think sports rivalries will ever reach what they were. And like you can even look back at last year's Unrivaled documentary that ESPN did. Like the players that participated in this rivalry still do not like each other.
Some don't, but I mean, others have made peace with it, and
but yeah. For that to still carry,
sure,
that speaks a lot. And going back, if you watch that game wire to wire, it's frustrating. Yeah, the fights are fun, but boy, the aftermath and getting through the rest of that game was not that great. That rivalry was something you'll never forget. Those two jerseys throughout the 90s were in 2000s synonymous with just hockey. Like this rivalry made its way into like mainstream media, where you saw these jerseys always like opposed. Like it was even vignettes in wrestling for a little while. They would wear those jerseys. Like those, you just knew those were two sides that did not stand each other. Like if you didn't watch hockey, Red Wings, Avalanche, they don't mix. They hate each other, and it was fun to watch. Now the two teams are shells of what they are. Nobody, like, you have kids that have not even experienced probably playing on these teams that have no idea about the rivalry and what it meant, but it's something that OG fans could really treasure.
You're right. I mean, just rivalries in general. Outside of college, college, that it's still a thing.
Oh yeah,
you're big on it. And I mean, being a Michigan guy, like Michigan Ohio State, that is a rivalry. Auburn, Alabama, those are where the rivalries live now. They don't really live in professional sports. You'll get something where a team dislikes someone for a season, and something happens during a game, and the next time they meet, there's a little bit of animosity, but then it goes away. This thing dragged on for years. Yep. It was really like for like the Claude Lemieux era of in Colorado is kind of like the beginning and the end of it.
Yep.
And that was, from the mid 90s to, I think it was there from 01 or 02 is when he left. And then once he left, that was kind of like the end of it. But it was years that this thing, every time that they met, you were going to get just some, like a horror movie. And for this game specifically, you can't say there was nothing that this game didn't have, because when you're including a goalie fight and the most epic goalie fight in the history of the league, then this game officially gave you everything. And you could tell it was going to happen, but like I said, not to that level. And if you witnessed it, go back and watch it. I mean, there's tons of videos on YouTube and stuff like that. I don't know where you can go watch the entirety of the game.
They're chronicled on YouTube.
Okay. The only thing that I wish was different about that day was if the Avalanche got the win.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was legendary.
And they don't even let goalies fight anymore. Darcy tried the other night.
He did.
Just didn't happen.
He did. So, with every year that this goes, another year past of when it happened, just you look back and say, like, man, we'll never get anything like that ever again, ever. So, happy anniversary to all that celebrate Bloody Wednesday. But yeah, another one in the books. I can't believe in 2 years it'll be 30 years ago.
I know. I used to have a Detroit Red Wings decal at the bottom of my toilet.
Did you really?
I did.
How do you get that there? I mean, just by sheer, just you have to time it where you flush and then put it in.
Yep. I knew a guy that made the decals, so I was like, "Hey, can you do this for me?" Yep.
How long did that last?
About a couple months, and then
Yeah,
it was
I was
just
gonna
like
say it couldn't really, and
it
then
wasn't there anymore.
and then you flushed and it was gone.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
"Well,
that's too
okay."
funny. That's too funny. All right, and with that, we'll get to our sound check where we pick a song each that summarizes the most recent game and put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify. You can follow along. Just search for LOA Soundcheck Volume Number 4 is where all these songs go. So, what do you got for Avs over the Red Wings 5-2?
Oh, my friend, the planets aligned for me.
Mhm.
This game, the rivalry, everything that was, and the OG everydayers know I'm a huge Wu-Tang Clan fan.
You are, yes. Okay.
Guess who just dropped a brand new song on March 7th of
Really?
2025? It's called Mandango. It's kind of playing off the martial arts style where you become invincible, where you train your body to not feel pain. And honestly, this Avalanche team, top to bottom, through in like in and out, they have this is a well-oiled machine, borderline, like the song talks about being invincible. Like this is a well-disciplined, well-developed, well put together team, top to bottom, and I feel great about where this team is going,
Mm.
where I haven't been that confident in them to this point. So Wu-Tang Clan, Mandingo.
And didn't they announce a tour too?
You betcha.
Are they going around you or no?
Yes, but
In a vicinity?
yes, in
Is
a
it close enough
vicinity.
to go?
I think they're going to be like an hour and a half south of me, but
Okay.
it's during the summer.
All right. Make it happen. That's a very astute pick you have there, sir. That's I have to, I mean, I'm not really into that genre, but hey, I mean, you got to respect the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh,
So, and I like how that you kind of correlated it to what the Avs are going through right now. I love that.
it's
Solid pick, sir. Solid pick.
it's just how I operate, dude.
For me, hey, we're talking about the Red Wings. We're talking about Bloody Wednesday. We're talking about the rivalry. We're talking about how since the Four Nations, the Wings have just fallen from a playoff spot to out of the playoffs and very likely could miss the playoffs again. Seems to be trending in that direction. So I'm just gonna, kick them while they're down right now. And I'm going with Alter Bridges, Broken Wings is what I'm going with. Gorgeous song. Gorgeous song. And just, the title just suits it perfectly right now. So why not?
Oh, I can, like you mentioned it, I could just hear the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good song.
Yes. Yeah. So we're going with that. This is an easy pick for me. That one just, I didn't have to think about that one for too long. Like, no, the Wings are falling and it won't be long. So, all right, we're going to wrap this thing up. So thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss anything new going on in Avalanche Nation. So he is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and we're another 24 hours closer. We're Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being a part of the Colorado Avalanche. Get excited.
He was 41 on Bloody Wednesday.